And we are live. What's going on, everybody? Good to have you guys here hanging out today. Let's talk about toys. It is the Sunday after Black Friday. Hopefully, everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Hopefully, everybody is recovering from your turkey comas and or if you had turkey. I suppose not everybody has turkey. You might have had ham or duck or goose or roast peacock. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But of course, it is the Sunday after Black Friday as well. And so I'm very curious what people picked up for Black Friday. So any Black Friday pickups, let me know in the chat. If you're joining late, you won't hear this part, but you'll see the banner scrolling, and hopefully you'll sort of throw it in there and let me know when you're jumping in. Not a long video today. Admittedly, I'm kind of stealing Brick's spot because he didn't go live because I was otherwise occupied. Today was our annual Pictures with Santa, and for whatever reason, we've had Pictures with Santa every year, forever since we've had kids, at least. We've had pictures with the same Santa. We've followed Santa from different venues, and we didn't get an email about where Santa was going to be. And so when we sort of went to book our photos, Santa was all booked up. And so I had to send some emails. My customer service emails, my customer service email writing skills had to work in the other direction this year, and I had to sort of reach out and plead my case, and they actually kind of added in a time slot to get us in. So we went and did Pictures with Santa today, but it happened to be the time that I normally do videos on Sunday, and I was like, look, we'll make it work, we'll figure it out. But as I said, Brick did the news yesterday with Wade from Unparalleled Universe, so he wasn't live now, and so here we are talking about toys. It's not going to be nearly as in depth as Brick is, and I don't have a wonderful, charming, guest or co-host or anything like that with me. So it's just me. All you get is me, and I'm not going to be talking about that much. As I said, it's going to be a relatively short video, and I will, let you get on with your Sunday. I mean, you don't have to be here. I am not taking attendance, or am I? Ray Paz is going to catch the replay. Mr. Ryan Clark is here. Ostradamus Toys, Red 5, Amateur Hour 24/7. Good to see you there, Seth. Yeah, that's it in the chat so far. I know there's more people watching. As I've said, if you're watching and you want to just lurk in the comments, that's totally fine. If you want to let us know that you're here and watching, feel free to put the ellipsis in the chat, just to sort of, or a hand wave or something like that. I'm always curious to see, who's watching, who's hanging out in the chat. So, either way, good to have you. And if you're watching on the replay, thank you. Thank you for, taking time out of your day, out of your evening, out of your morning, out of your commute to check the show out. It's good to have everybody here. Let's see. Let's see. Oz says, got my naughty or nice order this week. Red 5 says, I got a Black Series figure for Black Friday. Let's see. Larry's Geeky World is here as well. JMac774. Good to have everybody here. All right. So, what am I going to talk about today? I'm going to talk about the Four Horsemen Figura Obscura monkey. I always want to call him the Monkey King. He's not the Monkey King. He's the Mouse King. He is, of course, the sort of main antagonist, I guess, of the Nutcracker. He is not the Ghost of Christmas Present. I will be talking a little bit about that. And I've got a little bit of a curveball because it's not something that I normally talk about, but it is sort of holiday related, and I love Christmas. I keep banging on about how much I love Christmas, so we'll be talking about one more sort of thing that I don't normally talk about, or a brand that I don't normally talk about. But anyway, JMac77 says jumped on the Tiamat and Stavros deals. I'm not familiar with the Tiamat deal. I know that Stavros was 25% off in Big Bad Toy Store. But is Super 7 discounting Tiamat, or is that a Big Bad Toy Store or something like that? I'm curious. Because that Tiamat looks amazing. Mr. Ryan Clark, did you pick a sweater yet? No. Okay. Honestly, every time I sit down to like pick it, I have so much stuff going on. I have so many things, so many other decisions to make that decision has just been sort of put on the back burner. I'm no closer. I'm no closer than I was. I still have 4 sweaters to pick from. I haven't added any. That's the good news, but I haven't subtracted any, so I haven't gotten any closer to choosing my Christmas sweater. JMac774. JMac77, right? For the longest time. But anyways, now we have, channel names, not handles. Or do we? I don't know. I can't remember anymore. I try to keep track. Anyway, Entertainment Earth had him for 150. That's pretty good. I think that's like what was he? 250 down to 150? That's pretty good. Not a bad deal at all. Anyway, let's get right into it, shall we? Because I said we would. Let's see, which one do I want? I did not set this up very well ahead of time. There we go. That's the one I want. All right, so the Four Horsemen, as I said, released the Mouse King. So the sort of Nutcracker's infamous villain, I guess, for lack of sort of a better description, is of course a mouse. The head of the mice, the meanest and evilest of the mice. He is the Mouse King. I always want to call him the Rat King because I feel like a mouse is like less threatening. And I think that in some sort of versions of it, he just sort of becomes a Rat King. I think the Mouse King, it seems like friendly. I mean, he seems like a benevolent ruler. When you say Rat King, you kind of go like, oh yeah, nobody wants that. But anyway, the Mouse King, and there's a whole write-up on the Four Horsemen's website about sort of the background, of the character and sort of how they developed, the idea of what to do with this figure, what accessories to include and all that kind of stuff, how to sculpt it, all that kind of stuff. So, there it is. There is the Mouse King. 7 heads, which is pretty amazing. You get you get sort of the main head out front with the crown on it, but then you also get, a sort of a secondary piece, like a collar piece, a neck piece that sort of fits over top of the torso that allows you to mount all the other heads, which looks absolutely amazing. Really, really cool design. Really, really interesting way to sort of execute the look. What's really cool about this is that you get all 7 of those heads, and all 7 of those heads are compatible with figures with torsos, right? So I've seen people sort of basically take this version, take this sort of single head collar, and then put mouse heads on a whole bunch of other figures and make like a little army of mice, which I think is awesome. I think that's probably the route that I would go if I were ordering the Mouse King. I did not order the Mouse King, even though he looks amazing. Here is another example, without the soft goods, with a little bit more of a rat kind of vibe. So you do get a bunch of different collars. So you get the collar that fits the 7 heads. You get that little sort of ruffly collar, and then you get the fur collar that's in this picture here, so that you can set them up multiple different ways. There you go. There's sort of a picture. So that's the collar that has the 7 heads that mount on it. That is the collar where you can mount just one head, and then that is the furry neck where you can kind of make him a little bit more, head forward, a little bit more rat-like. Extra set of hands as well, a sword and a scepter, plus a stand. For anybody that's curious, the Mouse King is still available through storehorseman.com. So if you're interested in this figure, by all means, get over there before they're gone. I think they're doing another release next weekend for anybody that misses it this weekend. But I would say, in my experience, the ones that get ordered this weekend tend to get shipped much, much quicker. You're kind of in the first round of shipping. So if you want this figure before Christmas, I would say now is the time to get it. Don't wait till next weekend. But that's just my suggestion. Do what you like. Collect how you want. Buy whatever you want. I will say that I did not order this. And not because it's not a great figure, but because I just don't need it. It wasn't something that I love the Nutcracker. The Nutcracker is my favorite ballet. I saw other people make that comment, and then I was like, okay, what are my other? What's number 2? I don't know. I just love the Nutcracker. I just sort of a Christmas thing. I saw the Nutcracker at the New York Ballet, whatever it's called. Beautiful building, wonderful performance. I love the Nutcracker. I don't love it enough to need a Mouse King. And beyond that, I couldn't help but think that if you get the Mouse King, you probably need or want the Nutcracker, and then you probably need or want, a Tin Soldier or a Gingerbread Man, or more mice soldiers, or whatever sort of peripheral, um, Nutcracker characters you might want to sort of go with it. Now, what I do think is kind of cool, and I haven't necessarily seen anybody mention this or sort of say anything about this, but when I was looking at these pictures, one thing that stood out to me was that these pictures are showing the Mouse King not as though he's a 1/12 scale figure, but as though he is a 1-to-1 scale figure. If you notice, there's presents in the background. There's toys in the background. There's blocks in the background. There's a fireplace in the background. There's all that kind of stuff. It's Trevor Williams, 1/6 shooter, who does all the Four Horsemen's photography, did a fantastic job of kind of making this figure sort of appropriate to what it is, in that it's a mouse, right? So don't think of this as a 1/12 figure. Think of this as a 1-to-1 figure. Or think of it as a 1/12 figure, and you can add it in with sort of whatever other collection you have. But what's cool about it, if you think of it as sort of a 1-to-1 figure, is that you could sort of pose it and sort of photograph it and kind of play with it in like a Toy Story kind of a way. You could use other figures or other toys or something like that to actually kind of like build out a world and do like some really, really fun, really cool toy photography stuff. But that being said, I still don't need it. It's a great figure. It's a great figure, but it wasn't on my radar, and it isn't on my radar. So yeah, there you go. My gripe, my problem with what they sort of did here in terms of releasing the Mouse King. And keep in mind, I think this figure is fantastic. But I really, really, I will admit that this is a subjective thing. Oh, one more thing before I sort of rant about why I wish we didn't get this. Where is it? I just want to get back to the picture of the cape. The cape looks fantastic. So I can only assume that this is a fully wired cape. But you can see that it's sort of like it's stitched together and it's like tatted together. There's like patches on it. Where is it? Like you can see a patch sort of on the shoulder there. When you see it from the other side, you can't see it as well, but it looks like there's another patch there. And there's like stitching in it and stuff like that. It's all ratty and there's like holes, pun not intended. There's holes in it and the edge is kind of frayed and worn. So I genuinely think this is a really, really well done figure and a very, very cool figure. And I know a lot of people are really excited to get the rat, to get the mouse, to get sort of whatever. But personal my personal beef with the Four Horsemen with this kind of swerve is that yeah, last year and the year previous for the Christmas figure obscura, we got Jacob Marley 2 years ago. We got the Ghost of Christmas Past last year. This year, in the sort of email and in the social media stuff that they shared, they sent out this little sort of image and it says it's time for a holiday present from Figura Obscura, and everybody read present to mean that they were doing the Ghost of Christmas Present. Awesome. That's what I expected. That's personally what I wanted. I got those two and I intend to get the rest of the Christmas Carol figures. But that's not what we get. Instead of the ghost that we all want, we get a rat. There's nothing wrong with the rat. There's nothing wrong with sort of keeping collectors on their toes and sort of keeping things fun and keeping people guessing and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with the Four Horsemen releasing this figure. However, and I've heard counter arguments to the argument that I'm going to make. However, the Four Horsemen isn't, Hasbro. This isn't Marvel Legends. They don't need to drag out building teams however long they can to keep people interested. I think people are interested. Most people that I know that are buying, the Figura Obscura, a lot of them are buying Mythic Legions. A lot of them are buying Cosmic Legions. A lot of them are buying Infinite Legions. Like, a lot of people that are sort of on board for one Four Horsemen thing are on board for just about everything. So for me, the sort of strategy, like the marketing strategy of spreading out a team or sort of making releases sort of delayed so that people sort of stay interested, isn't a problem that the Four Horsemen have. And beyond that, it's not as though the next wave of holiday Figura Obscura comes in a month or 2 months or 3 months. It probably won't come again till Thanksgiving next year. So it's effectively 2 years in between, last year's Christmas Carol figure and next year's Christmas Carol figure, assuming they release one. If somebody is a casual fan of Four Horsemen stuff and they were hoping to collect the Christmas Carol stuff, I don't know that they're going to be interested 2 years from now. I think it's one of those things where if you kind of go, okay, we're going to give you one of these a year, aren't you making people wait long enough? To me, it's a weird move. To me, it just doesn't seem like the right move. To me, it seems like if you wanted to do Christmas, Christmas Carol figures and Nutcracker figures, do them both. Like, you're not talking about a wave of figures here. You're talking about one figure. And I don't know. I don't get it. That's my personal take. That's my personal kind of rant on it. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where I know they want to do a ton of stuff. I also know that as somebody that sort of is sort of helping with scheduling for a toy company, you can't just do it all at once. So you have to pick and choose. But I genuinely think that this is sort of one of those things where, when people make the argument like, well, they're trying to like, make people stay interested longer. It's like, yeah, but there's a lot of people that move on from Marvel Legends or complain about Marvel Legends because Marvel Legends has a habit of not finishing teams for far too long. And then by the time, the last figure in a team comes, the technology and sort of the quality of the figures and sort of the figures just don't feel the same. And then you need a re-release of the original ones. So anyway, that's it. That's my rant. The Mouse King is awesome. But but I genuinely wanted the Ghost of Christmas Present. I genuinely did. And I think that, like, I'm looking at the Ganesha figure and looking at, okay, they had the body type, just put a big heavy cloak on that, a new head, away you go. Like, I think the sculpts were there, the molds were there. I don't know. I don't know. But we didn't get it. So hopefully next year it comes out. Hopefully next year it's awesome, and I'll be talking about how awesome it is. Because I'm genuinely excited about the Christmas Carol stuff. So that's just me. Let's see what you guys had to say in the chat there. Let's see. Larry's Geeky World says, I got one for me and an all-in for my girlfriend. That's awesome. I think it's great. I mean, I think it's great. I think at some point I'm going to try to, like, hit up some people that I know that got multiples for one or two of the mouse heads, because they look rad, and I want to put one of those mouse heads on an imp scale figure once the imp scale stuff comes up. So I'm not, I'm certainly not trying to say that the Mouse King shouldn't have been released or isn't an amazing figure, because it really is. Mr. Ryan Clark says TS is likely paying full retail plus shipping and exchange to Canada before the markup on the site. I don't know what TS is, but Red 5 says, I'm worried about that price on toy. Oh, okay. So Ryan Clark is saying Toy Snowman. So in response to this, Red 5 said, I'm worried about that price on Toy Snowman. They had the Jersey Devil for 170. That doesn't seem right. The Jersey Devil, I mean, there's always a markup. I'm not a big, I don't know how Toy Snowman is getting them, or sort of how their price structuring works. I don't know if they're able to get them at a wholesale price, and that's what Mr. Ryan Clark is saying. He says Toy Snowman is likely paying full retail plus shipping and exchange to Canada before the markup on the site. Yeah, so in a lot of cases, I know that E-Collectibles, when they bring in this stuff, they typically will basically just charge their customers what they pay. They basically don't make any money off the figure obscura stuff. But it's just a service that they're providing for their customers who are buying Mythic Legions and Cosmic Legions and, Black Series and Animal Warriors of the Kingdom and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like a thank you to sort of help them get it across the border and deal with all that stuff. And I suspect probably Toy Snowman is doing the same thing. So and Odd says, yeah, some of the toys in the artwork was the puppy that came with the original Father Christmas. Yeah, there was some Easter eggs of, like, some of this stuff that's come before, which is very, very cool. Mr. Ryan Clark says, I have a cool idea for a photo if I can get the right props. I look forward to it. I would love to see that. Oz says, rant. I wanted the rant last night. Yeah, I told Oz that if I jumped on the Clubhouse last night, I may be in sort of rant mode. But I'm still kind of in rant mode because I wanted my ghost. I'm unapologetically sort of upset that I wanted that ghost, and I'm mad that they didn't give it to me. It's not the end of the world. These are toys. I don't need any of this stuff, but it is what it is. Mr. Ryan Clark says, as I understand it, it was more of a creative reset for Eric Treadaway, and they'll get back to the Christmas Carol ghosts next year. Well, that's what we've been told. So it is what it is. I get it. I doubt, knowing what I know about how Eric Treadaway works, I have no doubt in my mind that all of the Christmas Carol stuff is already designed and probably already, like, sculpted, and may have already had molds made for it. They don't, like, Eric doesn't go like, well, I'll get back to this. I think he's done all of them. I genuinely do, which Again, all the more reason why you should have got him. Rick Jones says wild design reminds me of the crazy creature of the 90s figures. Yeah, there is sort of a this kind of goes back to the old Spawn days when Four Horsemen were sculpting for them and just doing like really weird, crazy stuff in a way. I agree. Brick says if they did them both, that's like $180. That's going up against those of us trying to stack cash for the Dawns of Discovery pre-order. Yes, but again, the Four Horsemen don't seem to ever shy away from like piling more pre-orders on top of existing pre-orders. They've had sort of situations like that before. And they'll probably release something in a month, and they'll probably release something 2 months from now. It's like and I'm like I said, I'm not mad at them for releasing this. It's just I wish I got something else. And it's just a collector complaint, right? It's one of those things where like, I personally kind of tease people that sort of say these things. And I'm opening myself up to that, criticism by all means. It's just I don't think the Four Horsemen need to swerve like this. I think they could have given us what we expected. I think, the idea of giving people, things that they don't expect. I mean, we got the dragon, we got a wave of fish people, we got, a D&D character designed by Joe Manganiello. Like, yeah, the Four Horsemen does a great job of sort of surprising people and sort of giving us new, different stuff. But sometimes, they could also just give people what they expect once in a while. I don't know. Anyway, let's see. And Brick says, I'm down for the multi-headed mouse. More down than basically a plump version of their figure obscura Father Christmas. That's fair. And that's the other thing is I know a lot of people were really, really excited to get this figure. Not just as the Mouse King, but for the parts that they now have to do kind of rat soldiers and mouse soldiers, and all those extra heads are going to go a long way for customizing and stuff like that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of potential with this, and and that's what I'm saying is that like I genuinely think this is an amazing figure. So let's see. Christopher Bouchard is here as well. Good to have you, buddy. Rick Jones says a weird creature isn't very holiday friendly, and I'm here for it. Yeah, that's fair. He says you sound like a Joe fan. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I've heard people sort of compare what the Four Horsemen is doing, or theoretically or potentially doing. We don't know yet. With the Christmas Carol stuff, to like what they've done with the Dreadnoks, where we didn't get a wave of Dreadnoks. But we did get a Dreadnought in like every wave or every second wave. So we were getting, a couple a year. And to me, that's a little bit different. I don't think the Four Horsemen need to do this. That's all I'm saying. I just don't think they need to do it. Let's see. Oz says, I wanted Christmas present because I wanted to see if they used the dad bod buck for him on a brute scale body. I mean that's that's what I was kind of wanting to see too. I mean, I wanted to see that Ganesha torso. I thought it was there. I thought the parts were there. So anyway. Oz says, also excited to see the sturdiness of the Mouse King figure. Bill from Dorklair said it was really sturdy with the digitigrade legs and a top heavy body. Well, that's good. I mean, that's really, really good to hear. I think the fact that the feet are kind of like the toes are all kind of splayed out, I think it will give it a nice sturdy base as well. As I said, I think this is a really, really cool figure. I wanted it. I wanted something else. I know, I'm just like a child ranting. Anyways, as I said, Store Horseman still has it available, so you can get the Monkey King, the Mouse King. I'm reading it on the screen. It's still saying it wrong. You can still get the Mouse King You can't get the all in, unfortunately. That's sold out. The all in, of course, is the Mouse King plus the pin plus the mug with the little spoon, which is adorable. Make it a little Christmas hot chocolate in there. And while you're there, if you missed previous Figura Obscuras, they've got a bunch of those available as well. So you've got the Father Christmas, you've got the Ghost of Jacob Marley, the Ghost of Christmas Past. You can even get the Jersey Devil and Ganesha. I didn't see the Egyptian gods, but maybe they're on there. Maybe they're sold out. But there's a bunch of other stuff as well, and all of it qualifies for like the $10 US shipping. So order all of them. Order all every one of them if you want. There they are, available for purchase for you right now. Anyway, let's see. Justin Mohan said, why does it have all the heads? So in the story, in sort of different versions of the story, there's versions where he has 7 heads. So the Mouse King, in some literary versions, I don't think I've ever seen a ballet version of it that has the 7 heads, but maybe I just wasn't paying close enough attention. But in versions of it, he has 7 heads, so they put them in there, which I think is awesome. And all those heads are articulated, so all those heads are like actual Mythic Legions heads that can go on Mythic Legions bodies. So you could have 7 mouse soldiers to go, or 6 soldiers to go along with the king, which I think is that would be a cool way to do it. Especially if we get a Nutcracker, maybe, well, hopefully not next year, if whenever we get a Nutcracker, which I think is now inevitable if they did the Mouse King, but maybe they won't. Maybe that'll be a twist. If we get a Nutcracker, you could do a really, really cool scene where it's sort of the Nutcracker versus the Mouse King and 6 other mouse knights or mouse ruffians or whatever. I mean, you could use any bodies you want. So, let's see. Oz says, my Storytime Santa from Naughty or Nice holds a sitting position with no chair. Yes, they have very stiff joints. Justin says, do you think the Mouse King is a better athlete than Tony the Tiger? He has small legs too. No, the Mouse King has much longer legs than Tony the Tiger. Tony the Tiger has those crazy short legs, and it doesn't make any sense that he would be a soccer player. That's all I was saying in my Tony the Tiger video. Let's see. Okay, I'm kind of caught up there. So let's move on. I've got I really only have one other thing that I want to talk about. It's this time of year, right? We kind of slow down. There's not as many releases. A lot of the releases that we get are kind of like holiday releases, or the things that we get sometimes are repaints or sort of rehashes. I am kind of excited about that Jabba, that vintage collection Jabba. But I'm not going to talk about that today. The other thing that I wanted to talk about today, as I said, a little bit out of left field because it's not something that was really on my radar, and it's not a brand that I typically look at. But Mezco did their holiday version of Doc Nocturnal, and it is, of course, a like Santa-inspired outfit. And he is in a set with a Krampus, a big sort of 10-inch tall, furry, articulated Krampus. I have Father Christmas and Krampus from the Figura Obscura line from Four Horsemen, so I thought maybe this is where I need to go. This is my step. This is how I will sort of whet my sort of my appetite for Mezco. This guy looks absolutely fantastic. D Amazing has a review of this. He has this in hand, and it looks really, really cool, really, really fun. and works really, really well for the sort of Christmas, the collection of sort of Christmas inspired or Christmas related or Christmas adjacent figures that I have, between the figure obscura Santa, Krampus, the ghosts, Jacob Marley, and Christmas Past, the Naughty or Nice stuff. What else? My Star Wars Black Series holiday edition stuff. What other stuff do I have? Maybe I gotta push for like a AWOC Christmas release next year. What else? I don't know. I feel like I have an increasing collection of holiday figures that are really not, they're not typical stuff. But I'm very, very excited for this. I've heard nothing but good things about the previous versions of Doc Nocturnal. And like I said, this Krampus I think is going to work really, really well with other lines as well. I don't think it's necessarily like limited. I'm even looking at this Krampus in terms of like it could be a Star Wars kind of creature, almost like I'm totally blanking on the name of the Wampa. It could stand in as like another Wampa, a non-Arctic version of a Wampa. Part of that was inspired by the fact that the previous version of Doc Nocturnal had a Yeti, which is basically just a white version of this Krampus, and so now this is sort of like a dark version of the figure. So I just thought, in the same way that we got that Mudhorn, like it kind of reminds me, if you saw the Mandalorian episode where they fight the Mudhorn, that's where I was getting that idea. But anyway, Mr. Ryan Clark says, I grabbed Father Christmas with my Mouse King yesterday. Good call. That Father Christmas is a great figure. It's a really, really nice figure. Gady's Toy says, give me Sexy Rat King any day. Yeah, that's fair. Brick says that Krampus is cool as heck. I have the Doc Knock too, and he's brilliant. Many of the same bits as this version, except the soft goods. And Rick Jones said, yeah, Wampa. Brick says there was a 1/6 Wampa back in the day that's basically like this, and the Yeti furry body with plastic underframe face, hands, and feet. Yeah. And I don't have that, and I don't really expect that I'm gonna track it down. So I was very, very excited about this. All right, let's take a look at some of the other pictures, and we'll kind of look at what you get with this guy. I've said this before, and I've sort of been talking to people for a while. Mezco is sort of like, I've never really gotten into it, but the only thing that really interests me for Mezco is the Rumble Society stuff, which, if you're not familiar with Mezco, is their sort of in-house IP, I guess. It's the universe, the Mezco universe kind of thing. So it's characters that they've created. There's a few different ones. The sort of most recognizable are going to be like Gomez and Vapor, I think, are the two names of the characters that sort of repeat. Doc Nocturnal is a monster who fights monsters. And then they have, various other Rumble Society characters that sort of live in this world that can sort of, interact with each other and stuff like that. So the Rumble Society stuff is what I've been interested in. Hadn't pulled the trigger on anything previous because I just there wasn't a point where I saw something that I needed bad enough that I ordered it. And then the Rumble Society stuff tends to sell out. This is sold out. So the Doc Nocturnal is sold out. It's now on a wait list. So if you want one, you can join the wait list. I don't know how that works or when you'd get it or what, but anyway. Figure just looks really, really cool. So you basically get a Santa outfit on a monster hunter, and he can battle this Krampus. That's that head is the head that's going to go on my display. That big long tongue is definitely the more interesting. But I do like when they've made these sort of like friendly version, of these pictures with sort of friendly interactions between Doc Knock and Krampus. Isn't that like a heartwarming scene? Krampus warming up by the fire. There you go. Look how cute that is. This was the alternative if I hadn't used the monkey, what? If I hadn't used the Mouse King for the thumbnail, I was going to use this picture right here because this is just adorable. There's Doc Knock, there's Krampus, and then here's sort of the breakdown of what you get with the figure. So just a bunch of different hands. I think I don't know if there's any alternate heads or masks or anything, but you do get some goggles there as well as a stand. Oh, this says snow goggles and mask. So I don't know what his head looks like. Maybe you got to get it to see what his head looks like. Various weapons and accessories, and I think I think some of that stuff's wired too, so it poses up really, really nice. The cape is wired. I believe the soft goods on Doc Knock are wired as well, and then you get the snowshoes, the shovel that folds up, just really, really cool. A lot of soft goods. That's not everybody's into Mezco for the soft goods. So there's Krampus with the two interchangeable portraits. You get this sort of snarling mouth closed and then the mouth open with that crazy gross long tongue. And then there you go. That's I think that's the last one. That's the last picture. So there you go. Doc Knock and Krampus, to those playful guys. Let's see what you guys are saying. I'm not going to attempt to sing it, but I think go ahead if you're still inclined to get this stuck in your head. Brick said the Mezco waitlist is just a gamble and it converts sometimes as people cancel, but random, and you got to pay attention to email and jump quick if you get notification. Oh, okay. So there you go. So basically, you put yourself on a wait list, and if anybody decides they don't want their figure or cancels it or returns it or what have you, I guess they just send you an email and you got to pay for it right away. Otherwise, they move on to the next person. And Brick says that Ted got the Yeti and Doc Knock. The Harry figure is pretty cool. I looked at that one and thought that one was pretty cool, and then this one got teased, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll bite. I'll bite. All right, that's all I got. That's a pretty short video. We're at 42 minutes. Did anybody get any Black Friday stuff? I'm very curious about that. I didn't get any like Black Friday deals as such. I did order a couple Christmas gifts for my kids. And then I grabbed this, not that it's a Black Friday deal, but someone said a Black Series figure. Somebody said that they got Tiamat. Anybody else get anything? Was there anything that I should have got that I missed? That's what I'm always curious of. Not that I'm ever like upset when I miss deals or anything like that, but it is what it is. I'm always curious, and then I'm like, oh man, I can't believe I missed that one. I've wanted that for a while or whatever, but I generally try to pay as close attention as I can so I don't miss that stuff. But anyway, if there's nothing else, maybe I'll wrap it up nice and quick. Like I said, 45 minutes probably by the time we get out of here. I will say that I was thinking about or considering sharing some of the updates to the decos for the Space Zombies from Mars figures. Arlen and I have been working really, really hard at really fine tuning the details and the color palettes and just a couple other things about the figures. So we've got more to share on that soon. We're working on the packaging. We're working on everything. But we'll hold off on sharing some of the new decos. I think the plan is to start sharing more details in January. So stay tuned for that. I think between now and Christmas, you'll forget all this stuff because it's like the craziest, most hectic time of year. You got shopping for everybody. You got, get your food lined up. You got to get travel plans all dialed in and all that kind of stuff. And then, before you know it, it'll be January 1st, and we're talking about, most anticipated figures of 2026. And hopefully Space Zombies from Mars will be on that list for a lot of people. Although at this stage, they will probably not be delivered until 2027. But anyways, more on that soon, as I said. But as I said before that, that's all I got, guys. I don't have much else to chat about this week. This week was a little bit light on releases, a little bit light on news in general. So enjoy the rest of your what you've got left of the weekend, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Now that's a country song. Living and loving and driving fast cars. Whether I'm here or I'm on Mars, I'm gonna die young, baby, that I know. I'll leave a beautiful memory when I go. Well, I woke up this morning feeling pretty damn tired. I was up all night at a moonlight fire. There was beer, whiskey, beautiful girls, but you know we can't afford no diamonds and pearls. So I told them I was famous for singing this song. I thought for a while I'd strung them along. One said, fellas, got a pretty good game. Tomorrow I won't even remember his name. Well, living and loving and driving fast cars. Whether I'm here or I'm on Mars, I'm gonna die young, baby, that I know. But I'll leave a beautiful memory when I go. I'll play that just like your daddy taught you. Grab myself a beer. I jumped in the car that I wanted to steer. I told them guys I'll be back in the jiff, but I accidentally drove my car off a cliff. So now I'm dead, but the song remains, even though I scattered all of my brains on the inside of my black T-bird. I hope y'all remember these beautiful words. Well, living and loving and driving fast cars. Whether I'm here or I'm on Mars, I'm gonna die young, baby, that I know. But I'll leave a beautiful